As Sjogren's warriors, we are responsible for our own fight with this condition. Hey Sunflowers, it's Kendra. Welcome to another video. In my last video, we talked about getting diagnosed with Sjogren's and what that process looked like for me. In today's video, we're going to be talking about advocating for yourself because no one is coming to save you. As Sjogren's warriors, we are responsible for our own fight with this condition, and the best way that we can do that is advocating for ourselves, learning all that we can about this condition and making sure that we are prepared for our appointment. So before I get into how to go about advocating for yourself, I really wanted to make sure that I took time to emphasize why it is so important. So at the point in which you get diagnosed, there can be these expectations that everything is just going to come together. Maybe it's been a long journey. For me, it was 7 years, for some even longer, and others maybe a little bit shorter, but you've been on this road with questions and now you feel like you have the answer. You think that things are going to be smooth sailing as best as possible, and maybe if you're seeing different specialists, they're going to all come together like we see on medical dramas, and they're working together to find the best plan that they possibly can. Unfortunately, that is actually less likely. It requires you to be willing to speak with each of those specialists and make sure that you have an understanding of what their plan is for you. And sometimes you are actually the middle person that is talking between them to ensure that you're getting the right care and treatment that you need. In my experience, when I was going through this process and I had these expectations that were not met in terms of what things were going to look like after I got diagnosed, it was very discouraging and very disappointing, and honestly made me feel like no one cared, so to speak, in terms of, sometimes it'd be like not remembering my case, or even dealing with different matters with insurance and how much of a struggle it can be, and having to contact the nurse's office, and they're dealing with so many patients, to be totally honest, and so it can be hard in their defense to remember everything about every person. So that's why it's important for you to really just strap in and decide that I'm going to get the answers that I need. I'm going to get the treatment that I need, and I'm not going to get discouraged. I'm not going to give up. I will keep calling. I'll keep asking questions and just really taking those steps to ensure that you're given, that you're receiving everything that you need. A personal example that I have of that is I was on a particular treatment plan, and I had been on this plan for about a year, and the side effects were really intense. They were really not outweighing the benefits of this treatment. And I knew that there was potentially another treatment, and I only knew this from researching and asking questions to my doctor, but I also knew that she wasn't necessarily pushing or wanting me to transition over into that new plan. But the treatment was just really hard on my body, and I had to push and ask for this other treatment, which did ultimately become a better option for me, but I wouldn't have gone down that path if it hadn't been for me being willing to kind of go against the grain a little bit and to listen to my body versus potentially the advice of others. So I will do a video that kind of goes into detail about the different treatment plans that I've done previously and currently, so be on the lookout for that. So overall, we have to let go of any expectations that others are going to do the work for us and instead embrace that it is our responsibility. So practically, what does that look like? Well, there's a lot of things about this condition that we can't control, but the one thing that we can control is being prepared for our appointments. So the first thing to do is to track your symptoms. Oftentimes I went to appointments and I'd be asked, What triggers this symptom, or how often is this happening? And honestly, I didn't know. And so I began to journal my symptoms. That can also help to see if there is any correlation to, what was going on in your day and when your symptoms happen. And again, it just allows you to have more information and more dialogue to share during your appointments. Secondly, to review your test results. And I know this one can sometimes be a little bit more complicated or confusing because there can be a lot of information in test results. So I always just try to make sure that I ask questions about them, and that in every appointment, I at least make sure that we are reviewing them. And then that ties into kind of the third item, which is preparing questions, not just about your test results, but anything. If you've had something new happen, ask a question about that. Why is it happening? If you are on medication and you're not sure if a particular side effect is normal or not, ask questions about that. Ask as many questions as you can so that you can be as knowledgeable about your health and your condition as you possibly can. So it's not easy, but we can do it. In my next video, we're going to be talking about the different medications that I take. I'll go through and list and describe each one that I take and what I take them for. So see you then.